we have gone through the assessment design process and some considerations in previous weeks. In this session, I will focus on one assessment design, group work assessment. Group work is becoming increasingly popular in higher education since the ability to work with others is highly demanded in today's society and the workplace. Group work, if well designed, can facilitate the development of collaborative skills, but assessing group work has raised some challenges. There is one ancient Chinese proverb: one monk will shoulder 2 buckets of water, 2 monks will share the work, but add a third and no one will want to fetch water. In simple words, this is called the story of 3 monks, no water. This may not be a true story, but it points out at least 2 things. Firstly, the task given to a group of students will have some effect on whether they are going to work collaboratively. If the task is too simple, like fetching water, that even one student can complete without working with others, it will be difficult for you to encourage your students to work together. Secondly, some group members may be free riders who do not want to make a fair contribution. These free riders can even decrease the motivation of others in the same group. So how can we tackle these challenges and create a collaborative learning environment for our students through assessment? Remember that assessment has a significant influence on students' learning behaviors. As just discussed, one thing that you can do is to design a suitable assessment task for the group. The literature has shown that good tasks for group work are those that require each member to contribute, and that cannot be easily completed by one person. One example is writing an in-depth research report. Individuals may initially take up different roles, but they have to discuss and review each other's outputs so as to create a coherent report. The unsuitable tasks for group work are those that can be completed by individuals working in isolation. A closely related issue is that if you want to grade your students based on group work, should all students in the same group receive the same grade? The answer is yes and no. There are a number of common grading mechanisms for your reference. Each has its advantages and disadvantages. Shared group grade means every team member in the same group receives the same score. This is simple and straightforward, but strong students will sometimes be disadvantaged by weaker ones. Free riding is likely to happen too. Therefore, shared group grade is more suitable for low-stakes assessment, which means they do not take a large percentage of the course grade. It may also be applied to those tasks that are completed within a short period of time, say within one class session. Individual grade based on contribution means that each group member receives a different grade based on his or her contribution to the group work. Certainly, you need to find a way to determine each other's contribution. For example, you can assign individual student a specific task that is part of a larger group work assignment. You can also ask your student to indicate which part they have majorly contributed in the final product of the group work. This can effectively reduce the possibility of free riding, but the disadvantage is that students tend to focus on their individual work and neglect the collaborative aspects of the group work. This mechanism is more suitable for situations where the focus of your course is on students' individual development in a specific area, not the collaborative or teamwork skills. The third mechanism has some shared components, upon which every group member receives the same score, and the individual components that grade students alone on their personal performance in the group work. So you will have at least 2 parts of scores added up to form the final grade for this group work assessment. Assessing individuals' performance may be conducted by you as a teacher, but it could also be handed over to your students. For example, you may require students to conduct peer assessment, which means they assess one another's performance. You can use a rubric or simply ask students to allocate a mark to individual team members. The peer assessment is often conducted anonymously, and the results will become the basis of the individual score. Here shows two real examples of group work assessment that we have identified in two different courses at the University of Hong Kong. In example 1, the teacher assigns a group of 3 to 4 students to present a poster. Half of the score will be based on how the group delivers the poster presentation. Everyone gets the same grade for this part. Then individual members need to listen to other groups' presentation and write comments or critiques, which are assessed individually. In this example, both components are assessed by the teacher. In example 2, the teacher asks students to research a topic and generate a report as well as a presentation, both in group format. Students in the same group receive the same score for their group report, while each individual gets a different score for the performance in the group presentation. If there is any suspected free riding, the teacher may ask the students in that group to allocate a fixed amount of points to one another, including themselves, according to their contributions to the group's collective work. The teacher then decides if there is any need for grade adjustment. The advantage of this mechanism is that you encourage students to make individual efforts and also pay attention to the group product. Another benefit is that you also develop their ability in assessing their peers, which is an important but often neglected skill for university students. Free riders can also be identified through the process. The disadvantage is that you need to spend time and effort on helping students acquire the skills of assessing others. It can also be time-consuming for you to moderate the grades and make a decision about grade adjustment. The above discussed are the 3 common grading mechanisms. There are still some other things that you can do in group work assessment. One strategy is to provide some guidance on group work and explain to students why the assessment is designed in a particular way. Some students don't like group work assessment because they feel that they are going to lose control over their grades or be negatively affected by weaker students. It would be helpful if you could explain to them why working in groups is important and how the assessment is designed to ensure fairness. Other considerations that you may be interested to know are the group size and group formation. How many students would you put in a group? Would you assign students into groups, or would you ask them to group by themselves? These questions are discussed in our group work assessment briefing with case examples from Hong Kong U and elsewhere.